Okay, let's get right into it. Welcome to this special explainer of one of the most famous and, frankly, most debated success blueprints ever written, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. If you've been searching for a really catchy, unique summary of how the most successful people in history built their fortunes, something that actually breaks it all down step by step, you are in the exact right place. We are going to visually unpack the core concepts of this legendary book and figure out exactly how to turn abstract thoughts into tangible success.
So our story starts with a completely fascinating premise. Just imagine this. You're a young special investigator and a business titan, none other than Andrew Carnegie, lets slip a massive secret. He hints at a master power. He basically describes a magic law of the human mind, a little-known psychological principle that acts as the absolute foundation of all personal success and wealth. Whether you're after money, power, prestige, or influence, Carnegie suggested there was a singular, repeatable formula to get it.
And that one little hint? Well, it launched Napoleon Hill on an absolute mission. He didn't just sit around theorizing in a room. He went straight to the source. Hill spent a huge chunk of his life interviewing and studying over 500 of the most successful self-made millionaires of the early 20th century. We're talking absolute giants here, like Henry Ford, J.P. Morgan, and John D. Rockefeller. He wanted to find the exact common denominator among all these massively successful people.
To put that into perspective, it took him 20 long years of research to distill their secrets. 20 years of observation, interviews, and pattern matching resulted in 13 distinct steps to financial, emotional, and spiritual wealth. And we're going to break down that entire 20-year secret right now, starting with the absolute foundation.
So, let's jump straight into Section 1, Mastering Your Own Mind. Because look, before you can build an empire, launch a startup, or achieve literally any of your wildest dreams, your mind has to be prepared. You've probably heard this brilliant quote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." It perfectly illustrates Hill's core thesis. It's one of the most famous quotes in personal development for a very good reason. Hill argues that your mindset is the actual engine of your reality. Success starts with a state of mind. Basically, if you don't see great riches in your imagination first, there is no way you'll ever see them in your bank balance.
But, and this is a big but, Hill is incredibly specific about what kind of mindset actually works. Let's compare mere wishing against a burning desire. Wishing is never going to bring you riches. A burning desire, on the other hand, is an intense passion. It's wanting something so fiercely that it literally forces you into action. And it has to be tied to a specific timeline and a definite purpose. You can't just walk around saying, "I want a lot of money." You have to say, "I want exactly this amount of money by this exact date, and here is the exact service or product I'm going to give in return for it."
Now, to lock in that burning desire, Hill introduces the principle of autosuggestion. This is essentially a form of meditation through constant, deliberate repetition. You see, your conscious mind often acts like a barrier, so you have to use self-directed communication to bypass it and directly influence your subconscious. Hill actually recommends writing down your clear statement of desire and visualizing your success out loud twice a day, once when you wake up and once right before bed until you truly, deeply believe it.
The crucial point here is this three-part feedback loop. First, you define an intense, specific desire. Then, you cultivate absolute faith that you're going to achieve it, deliberately blocking out any self-limiting thoughts. Finally, you use autosuggestion to train your subconscious mind to internalize that faith and act on the desire. These three steps really form the engine of his entire philosophy.
All right, now that your internal engine is running, let's move to Section 2, the mechanics of success. This is all about the practical machinery of building wealth in the real world. Hill bluntly states that general knowledge, the stuff you learn in standard schooling, is not going to make you wealthy. And actually, even specialized knowledge on its own isn't enough unless it's strictly organized and applied. You have to develop a specific niche and relentlessly seek out the specialized knowledge required to hit your goals. And hey, if you don't have that knowledge yourself, you need to go out and find the people who do.
To take things to the next level, you have to combine that specialized knowledge with imagination. And notice how Hill breaks imagination down into two totally distinct types. Synthetic imagination is basically just taking old concepts, ideas, or plans and shuffling them into new combinations. But creative imagination, that's much deeper. That's creating something entirely new from scratch. It's picking up vibrations and connecting with higher inspiration to develop completely groundbreaking, disruptive ideas. But of course, imagination only becomes reality through organized planning. You simply cannot succeed without a faultless blueprint. You've got to form a definite strategy, build an alliance with others to carry it out, and constantly assess your progress. Crucially, organized planning requires real leadership. You have to become the kind of person who makes firm decisions very quickly and changes their mind really, really slowly. You have to keep your own counsel rather than being constantly swayed by the opinions of everyone around you.
That brings us to Section 3, accelerating your progress.
Once your plan is actually in motion, you need principles that take your basic strategy and absolutely supercharge it. First among these accelerators is the mastermind. Hill asserts that when two or more minds come together in complete harmony for a definite purpose, a third intangible force is generated. Surrounding yourself with a team of like-minded experts creates this almost psychic, cosmic harmony. It obviously brings economic advantages, but Hill says it also creates a spiritual unit of energy that operates at a higher frequency, multiplying the power of everyone in the group.
Next up is persistence. In his 20 years of study, Hill found this was a massive differentiating factor between crushing failure and legendary success. Most people, right, they throw in the towel at the absolute first sign of opposition. But true success demands treating persistence as an unbreakable state of mind. It is literally your ultimate insurance policy. If you combine your burning desire with unyielding willpower, you literally cannot fail over a long enough timeline.
Now, Hill also introduces a fascinating, and often debated, accelerator called sex transmutation. He argues that sexual desire is the most powerful human drive we have, but instead of letting that energy dissipate in a purely physical way, highly successful individuals redirect or transmute those powerful carnal desires into productive, creative purposes. When you channel it correctly, Hill says this energy dramatically sharpens your imagination, your courage, your willpower, and your persistence.
To tap into higher inspiration, Hill contrasts two massive invisible forces. First, the subconscious mind, which is the intermediary. It's always active, translating your mental impulses and auto-suggestions into physical reality. The brain, on the other hand, acts as a literal broadcasting and receiving station for thought vibrations. Hill actually believed that our brains are constantly picking up the vibrations of thoughts released by other brains, kind of like a radio tuning into an invisible frequency in the ether. When your brain and your subconscious are fully tuned, filled with positive imagery, and totally free of fear, you unlock what Hill calls the apex of his philosophy, the sixth sense. This is a profound intuition, those sudden gut feelings or flashes of inspiration that guide you effortlessly. But Hill is crystal clear here. You cannot just skip ahead to the sixth sense. It's a level attained only after completely mastering the first 12 principles of desire, faith, planning, and persistence.
Finally, we reach Section 4, Outwitting the 6 Fears.
Before any of these principles can permanently transform your life, you have to clear your psyche of the ultimate roadblocks. Hill calls these the 6 hidden ghosts of fear. Because if your mind is cluttered with negativity, your subconscious just cannot do its job. These ghosts are the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. Indecision, doubt, and fear are completely 100% incompatible with the absolute faith you need to achieve your burning desire. You have to actively analyze your own mind to root these ghosts out once and for all.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. The complete blueprint to turn abstract thought into massive, tangible success has been laid out for you right here, exactly as Hill distilled it from the titans of the 20th century. The mechanics of the mind, the necessity of a mastermind group, the sheer power of persistence, it is all right there in your hands. The only question left to ask yourself right now is, do you have the swift decisiveness to take that first step? What decision are you going to make today?